Okay, this is pretty cool, but you can actually practice with your Power Pong robot from different positions. Whether you put it on a chair like I did here, or you move it around to different positions on the table, you have the flexibility to adjust your practice any way you like. Make sure that if you do it on a chair, you put it on a fairly sturdy chair and you put it in the desired part of the room. We're going to work on forehand counterloop, and there's a few critical things that I want to show you here. The first is that when the robot is shooting from a further distance, it's going to have a deeper trajectory. And that's exactly what happens in match play. When your opponent is back deeper, his lobs and his counterloops are going to come much deeper. They're going to carry further than if he's close to the table. That's why I love seeing the robot back there, because that can simulate a real person. That's really what you want to be able to do when you're training with the robot, is picture an actual training partner over there. You're going to get a lot more value from your practice. So how do you work on the basic technique for counterloop off the table? Well, as you can see right here with Senra, his body is low and his racket is high. That's an important aspect, because if your racket is down when the ball jumps up, you're oftentimes going to be late, possibly hit your edge or miss hit in another way. So body is low and really racket is high. You're going to have your weight balanced equally on both feet. As the ball comes back, it's not your arm that brings it back, it's actually your body that turns. That's what brings the hand back. You're going to have a slight weight transfer from your right foot to your left foot. And that's one of the benefits of counterlooping off the table, is you actually have time to make that full weight transfer. When you're closer to the table and both of you are close to the table and it's quick timing, you have time for a small weight transfer, but not quite as big of a weight transfer. The other thing that you notice here is that he's positioned more on the forehand side of the table. That's one question that comes up a lot, is how do I know exactly where my opponent is hitting to? Well, we don't know where the opponent is hitting to, but we know where the opponent is hitting from. Okay, so imagine if your opponent is way over there and they're counterlooping from deep on that forehand corner. They could hit here, or they could hit here, or here, or here, or here, or here, or here, or here. They could hit anywhere, but we know the ball is traveling from that direction. So even if they were to play the ball to the backhand, it's still kind of traveling here. If they were to play to the forehand, it's traveling here. So if you do counterloop to the wide forehand, you see your opponent way over there going to counterloop back, position your body kind of here, expecting a very, very, very large zone. There's two pitfalls that people fall into when they're talking about anticipation. The first one is just saying, I don't know where the ball is going to go, so I'm going to wait dead center every time. Well, that's not right, because you have to see the opponent that's attacking from there. The ball is going to travel this direction, so you need to be here. The other pitfall I see is people saying, well, I hit to the backhand, it's likely going to come right here. And I hit to the forehand, it's likely going to come right here. That's pretty dangerous, because you're going to be wrong a lot of the time. Remember, it's not a matter of where they're going to hit to, it's a matter of where they're going to hit from. Okay, so we know they're hitting from there, so we're generally speaking going to bring our body to here. Body low, racket up. Now here's a critical one, measuring the incoming ball. So body's low, racket is up. If the ball comes high, what do? You backswing here. If the ball comes lower, what do? You backswing here. If the ball comes in the middle, what do? You backswing here. A lot of people have a standard backswing that they take, and then they get messed up with the timing of the ball. Especially with counterloop, the height is very variable. So make sure that you keep your racket in front till the ball crosses the net, and then you're measuring it and hitting. Measure and hit. Measure and hit. Measure and hit based on the height of the ball. And the last thing I want to mention is that you really want to hold the ball as long as possible. This is one of the biggest beginner mistakes, is that the ball leaves the racket too fast. So you want to have a smooth stroke with a longer follow through. So if you're close to the table and your opponent is close to the table, the ball is going to have kind of a short or medium contact where it leaves the racket fairly fast. The further back you get, especially against these deeper balls, the longer you need to hold it. Why? Because your ball needs to go a longer distance. If we were to draw a line from here right to there, we'll say it's about 8 feet. When I go back another 4 feet, now I need to hold the ball longer to get it to carry to 12 feet. And that's one of the biggest beginner mistakes, is stepping back and then looping, and the ball goes into the net, and they think, well, my racket angle wasn't exactly right. Usually when you're off the table and the ball goes into the net, it's the fact that you didn't hold the ball long enough to carry the ball deeper. So if it's confusing for you to think about holding the ball longer, just think at this point about a longer follow through or just a longer stroke in general. If you're a beginner and you start with that, that's a great start. Your robot or your practice partner, you're playing some balls close to the table, compact stroke. Mid distance, a little bit longer stroke, and then further back, even a longer stroke. If you start with that as a base, over time you'll understand how to hold the ball longer. It usually comes from having a smooth stroke, a relaxed stroke, and a stroke that's not too fast. If you're going to develop the Counterloop, or any stroke for that matter, really focus first on having the right positioning. Work on adjusting to the incoming ball. Work on feeling to generate spin, not speed. And then as you get better and better, then you can work on more speed, especially with the Counterloop. You have to think that you're just adding maybe 3% or maybe 5% to the current speed that's on the ball. You don't have to generate your own energy. The ball coming at you already has a decent amount of speed and spin. You're just adding to the ball that commonly comes. So find the position, measure, keep your hand in front until the ball crosses the net, backswing with the body, and smoothly follow through, carrying the ball deep. Don't really worry about ball placement on this one. It's okay as you're a beginner and you're just developing this shot. It's okay to just hit deep cross court. And as you get more advanced, there's two things you should do. You should vary the location, kind of like Center is doing here in this video, where the ball's moving more, half table or 2/3 of the table. And then you should also vary the placement on your head.